Welcome back to our channel. The gavel just dropped in Port Charles, triggering a seismic shift in momentum that is tearing a family to shreds, leaving everyone paralyzed by impossible choices and the devastating reality of a war that has only just begun. Oh my god. I'm screaming. I literally cannot even deal right now. Okay, but listen. You have to drop whatever you are doing because I just watched the most unhinged, wild, absolutely insane episode of General Hospital, and my jaw is literally on the floor. I was eating my dinner, literally just sitting there with a plate of pasta, and I actually choked. I had to pause the TV and text my friend immediately because I was like, are you serious right now? Curtis Ashford walked into that Port Charles courtroom fighting for his actual freedom, fighting for his reputation, and Portia she just made it about something so much bigger. I am shaking just thinking about it. Wait, before that happened, actually, let me back up, because the drama started before they even got into the courtroom. The hallway outside the courtroom turned into a literal war zone. I'm not even exaggerating. It was like a cage match. Curtis, Jordan, Portia, and Isaiah all collided in this heated run-in, and the tension was so thick you could cut it with a scalpel. I was yelling at my screen. Why would they all be standing there together? Lucas, bless his heart, honestly. Lucas is doing the Lord's work, had to physically step in and defuse the situation before anyone even got inside the double door. Lucas literally had to put his body between them. The audacity of everyone involved, I swear. I forgot to mention earlier, and don't even get me started on this, Molly was there too. Molly pulled Isaiah aside before the trial officially kicked off and warned him. She literally told him not to take the bait. She knows that Curtis's attorney, Martin Gray, is going to try to bait him on the stand and make him look crazy. Molly is so smart for that, but honestly, Isaiah is a ticking time bomb. The man lost his surgical career because of Curtis, so obviously he's going to snap. But Molly trying to keep him calm was such a moment. Okay, where was I? Right, so back in the hallway, Jordan tried a quieter approach with Portia. Jordan is literally begging Portia to soften her story. She's pleading with her for baby Desmond's sake. Jordan is like, please, just frame this fight as a domestic misunderstanding. Just tone it down so the father of your baby doesn't go to Pentonville for years. And Portia? Portia looked at her dead in the eyes and said no. My jaw dropped. The absolute ice in her veins. She wasn't budging her testimony for anyone, not even for the child everyone in that hallway claims to be protecting. Not okay. I'm done. At this point, I am literally pacing around my living room. Portia takes a stand, and I am holding my breath. I thought surely she's gonna soften it a little bit, right? Like Curtis is Desmond's father. But no! When Portia took the stand, she didn't hedge at all. Not even a little bit. She looked right at the jury and told them that Curtis goaded Isaiah. She said Curtis goaded him as Isaiah tried to walk away. And then she drops the hammer. She details how the injury Curtis caused has left Isaiah completely unable to perform this highly specialized surgical procedure that only a handful of doctors in the world can even attempt. She literally ruined Curtis in front of the whole town. I was like, are you serious? Why would she do that? She needs to get it together, I swear. But then I realized, oh my god. I realized what she's actually doing. This isn't a woman protecting her baby's peace. This is a woman building a permanent record. I'm calling it now, this is going to end badly. Portia is playing 4D chess. She didn't just testify against Curtis for the assault. She quietly started a custody war for baby Desmond that nobody has even filed paperwork on. Think about it. A guilty verdict doesn't just threaten Curtis Ashford's freedom. It hands Portia a literal courtroom transcript she can wave around every single time custody. Curtis Ashford goaded a man into a violent fight that ended his elite surgical career. That is Exhibit A in a future family court filing. The sheer calculation of it all is honestly terrifying, but also kind of iconic. No, wait, it's terrible. I feel so bad for Curtis. He missed 20 years of Trina's life because of Portia's lies, and now she's setting it up so he misses Desmond's life too? The audacity. Wait, did I already say that? Whatever. Anyway, let's talk about Martin Gray. Martin gets up for the cross-examination, and he is slick. You know Martin, he's got that whole Southern lawyer charm thing going on, but he is ruthless. Martin tried flipping the script on cross. He starts needling Portia, asking her these incredibly pointed questions about the timeline of her relationship with Isaiah. He basically asks her, in front of God and everyone, how long she was married to Curtis before she started sleeping with Isaiah. I screamed. I literally screamed. I thought Portia was going to crack. I really did. I thought she would start crying or get defensive or yell at Martin. But she didn't rattle. She did not rattle at all. She just sat there, stone-faced, answering his questions. If anything, her staying so calm just confirmed that this trial has become way less about one punch in a hospital and way more about who Portia has already decided deserves a place in Desmond's. She has decided Curtis is out and Isaiah is in, and she is using the criminal justice system to enforce her parenting. It is wild. And honestly, let's just talk about the sheer awkwardness of that hallway scene for a minute. Imagine being Lucas Jones in that moment. Lucas is just trying to go about his day, probably dealing with his own trauma and drama, and suddenly he's thrust into the middle of a literal soap opera within a soap opera. Lucas having to physically defuse Curtis, Jordan, Portia, and Isaiah. I would have paid money to see the look on his face when he realized what he was walking into. He literally had to put his hands up and be like, "Whoa, whoa, let's take a breath before the bailiff arrests all of you." Lucas deserves a medal. Anyway, back to the trial. The lighting in that courtroom was so stark, it made everything feel so much more intense. Every time the camera panned to Curtis, he looked so defeated but also so angry. You can see the veins popping in his neck. He rejected a 2-year plea deal for this. A 2-year plea deal. He could have been out in 8 months on good behavior. But no, Curtis Ashford has too much pride. He refused to take the deal because he didn't want Isaiah to win. He didn't want Isaiah to take over his daddy's spot while he was stuck in pain. But now he's facing a jury. And Portia is up there feeding him to the wolves. Was the pride worth it, Curtis? I'm yelling at my screen, "Take the deal, Curtis." It's too late now, but you should have taken the deal. And let's deep dive into Portia's psychology for a second, because I am honestly fascinated and horrified. Portia Robinson lied to Curtis for 20 years about Trina being his daughter. 20 years! She robbed him of all those firsts. And Curtis forgave her. Well, mostly, they tried to make it work. And now, she has a second chance to co-parent a child with him, baby Desmond, and what does she do? She weaponizes a tragic altercation to push him out again. It's like she has this pathological need to be the sole parent, the only one in control. I was texting my mom about this and she was like, "Portia is just protecting her baby from a violent man." And I was like, "Mom, no, Curtis is not a violent man. He's a former cop, a former PI. He runs a nightclub. He protects people." Yes, he snapped. Yes, he hit Isaiah. But Isaiah was crossing boundaries. I'm not saying the punch was justified, but it was a crime of passion, a momentary lapse in judgment. It wasn't premeditated. But Portia, sitting on that stand, coldly describing how Curtis goaded Isaiah, she's making it sound like Curtis is this calculating monster who wanted to ruin a surgeon's hand. It's character assassination. And we really need to talk about Martin Gray's overarching strategy here, because it is honestly brilliant but so dirty. Martin knows he can't deny that Curtis threw. There are too many witnesses, and Isaiah's hand is literally shattered. So what does Martin do? He attacks the character of the victim. He's trying to paint Isaiah as a homewrecker and Portia as a vengeful ex-wife who is using the legal system to clear a path for her new lover. When he asked Portia about the timeline of her sleeping with Isaiah, it wasn't just to embarrass her, it was to plant a seed of doubt in the jury's mind. He wants the jury to think, hey, maybe Portia is exaggerating how aggressive Curtis was because she wants him out of the way. It's textbook defense attorney manipulation, and I am eating it up. But then you have to look at Isaiah sitting in that courtroom. The camera kept cutting to him, and he looked so tense. His career is over. The man was doing surgeries that only like 5 people in the world can do, and now he probably struggles to. That level of loss has to mess with your head. Molly was so right to warn him about Martin baiting him. If Isaiah gets on that stand and loses his temper, if he starts screaming at Martin or Curtis, the jury's going to see him as unstable. They're going to think, maybe Curtis was right to feel threatened by this guy. Isaiah has to play the sympathetic victim, but you can tell he is just boiling with rage underneath. I honestly don't know if he can keep it together. I can't stop thinking about Trina and all. Poor, sweet Trina. She has been through so much, and now her parents are literally tearing each other apart in a court of law. Trina has officially decided to set boundaries and distance herself from her parents' drama, and honestly, Good for her. I would too. Imagine trying to focus on your art and your high-stakes music showcase when your mom is trying to send your dad to prison. It's too much for one girl to handle. Let me circle back to Jordan for a second, because I am still not over her begging Portia in the hallway. Jordan and Curtis have so much history, and even though they aren't together, Jordan still cares about him. Her trying to get Portia to frame it as a domestic misunderstanding was such a desperate move. It shows how much danger Curtis is actually. If Jordan, a former police commissioner, is begging a witness to soften her testimony, you know the evidence is stacked against him. Jordan knows how the system works. She knows that once it's on the record forever. There is no taking it back. And Portia just brushed her off like a piece of lint. The disrespect. And imagine the gossip at General Hospital right now. Portia is the co-chief of staff, Isaiah was a top surgeon, and Curtis is a prominent business owner. The nurses' station must be buzzing. Every time Portia walks down the hall, people are probably whispering behind her back. Did you hear what she said on the stand? Did you hear Martin Gray asked her about sleeping with Dr. Gannon? It's a PR nightmare for the hospital, but it's pure gold for us viewers. I just know Tracy Quartermain is somewhere sipping a martini and loving every second of this. Okay, where was I? Right. The custody war. If Curtis walks free, what happens? Portia has already proved she is not softening for Desmond's. She didn't hold back on the stand. If Curtis gets acquitted, she's not going to just hand over 50 over 50. She'll keep building her case in the public eye. She'll talk about it in front of every doctor and nurse at General Hospital. She will make sure everyone knows Curtis is a violent hazard until Curtis Ashford is fighting for absolute scraps of time with a son he hasn't even brought home yet. It is so dramatic. I literally can't breathe. What happens if he gets convicted? A conviction could end Curtis's freedom and his shot at raising Desmond the way he raised Trina. He would be sitting in Pentonville while Isaiah raises him. But an acquittal might just hand Portia more ammunition to freeze him out anyway, because she'll say the justice system failed and she has to protect her child herself. It is a lose-lose situation for Curtis. Mark my words, this is the beginning of the most toxic, bitter custody battle Port Charles has ever seen. Portia is ruthless. She kept Trina a secret for 2 decades, so we already know she is capable of playing the long game. This testimony was just the opening shot. I am honestly exhausted from watching it. I feel like I ran a marathon. My heart is racing. I need to know what the jury is going to do. I need to know if Isaiah is going to snap when Martin cross-examines him next. I need to know if Curtis is going to end up in an orange jumpsuit. This show is literally ruining my life in the best way possible. I can't look away. I am going to need to rewatch the episode tonight because I was typing so fast to my friends that I probably missed some micro-expression. I need to see if Martin gave Curtis a look of reassurance. I need to see if Isaiah smirked when Portia was testifying. I need to analyze every single frame of this masterpiece. Seriously, you guys, this is the best television I have seen in years. The writing, the acting, the sheer unadulterated drama of it all. It is phenomenal. I can't wait for tomorrow's episode. Will Curtis survive this trial or lose his freedom and his son forever? Drop your wildest theories in the comments below, smash that like button, and subscribe so you never miss an update.